Okay, so this will be the third video for this first unit on distributive property. So again, this should hopefully be a review for you guys. But if you need to rewatch these videos, make sure you're doing that as much as needed. What I would suggest is try and watch it like 2-ish times, and then when you still don't get it, maybe try and search another video like distributive property video, and then see if there's anything else that might be helpful for you, that maybe somebody else explains it in a different way. But definitely make sure you're asking questions if you don't understand it. So I would definitely not watch the video more than twice, the same video, because it's not gonna help you to keep watching that same thing over and over again. So we already have this property on our first set of notes, the distributive property, but remember, distributive property basically means we're just multiplying everything. Okay, so multiply everything inside by the outside number. So here, right here, you've got A times B is going to be AB. A times C is going to be plus AC. The sign in the middle is also going to come along with it. So another thing that you may want to write down as like a reminder. So A times B is going to be same. A times negative C is going to be negative AC. So one thing you might want to write down is if you multiply a positive times a positive, it's going to be a positive. If you multiply a positive times a negative, it's going to be a negative, not -1. If you multiply a negative times a negative, that's going to end up being a positive. So 2 positives is going to end up being a positive, 1 negative is going to end up being a negative, 2 negatives is going to end up being a positive. Okay, so let's do some examples. 7 times x is going to be 7x. 7 times 4 is going to be 28. Again, use a calculator if you don't know what 7 times 4 is off of the top of your head. Don't spend more than 10 seconds thinking about it. If you can't get it off the top of your head in 10 seconds, we should always just have that calculator out and know how to use it. So especially when you are taking the SAT, you're going to have 1 minute approximately per problem. So if you spend 10 seconds thinking about what 7 times 4 is, you only have 50 seconds to finish the rest of the problem. Okay, let's do number 4. -5 times m is going to be -5m. -5 times -2 is going to be a positive 10. We'll do this 13, and then I'm going to have you guys practice one. 6a times b is going to just be 6ab. 6a times 2c, 6 times 2 is 12. A times c is going to be ac. Can't combine these guys, so even though they have an a, this guy has a b, and this guy has a c, so they're not the same term, so we can't add them together. Okay, so try number 10, come back and see if you've gotten it correct. So please pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you got 3m plus 3n for number 10. All right, let's do a few tougher ones. So I want to do number 9 So negative 3 times 2x is going to be negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 4 is going to be positive 12. Again, can't combine those guys because they're not like terms. Let's do 18 because it's fractions, and those always stress people out. And I almost want to do this one off to the side just so I have some more room. If you can fit it under there, that is totally fine. But anytime I'm multiplying fractions, I have negative 1/8 times 4/5. You're going to multiply straight across. So the numerators get multiplied together and the denominators get multiplied together. So negative 1 times 4 is going to be negative 4. 8 times 5 is going to be 40. And then that x is just going to come along. We can simplify this guy. So I'm just doing this in separate parts, since really distributing is multiplying by the outside number by everything on the inside. So we can simplify this. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 40 10 times. So there's our first term. Okay, now I'm going to do the next term over here. Negative 1/8 times 24, or negative 24. And I'm going to write that as negative 24 over 1. So anytime you don't have a fraction and you're multiplying or dividing something by fractions, write constants, so just regular numbers, non-fractions, as fractions over 1. Because really I can divide anything by 1 just like I can multiply anything by 1 without changing the value of it. So negative 24 divided by 1 is the same thing as negative 24. 3 divided by 1 is the same thing as 3. 17 divided by 1 is 17. X divided by 1 is x. So let's multiply straight across. Negative 1 times negative 24 is going to be positive 24. 8 times 1 is going to be 8. This does simplify. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So then our final answer, negative 1/10 x plus 3. Okay, try 15. Let's see if you can get 15. And then come back after you have gotten 15. Okay, so hopefully you got 2xy minus 5xz plus 1z. A lot of different ways that you could write this guy. You don't really have to have them in the correct order. Like if you didn't have this as 2xy, if you had it as x2y or 2yx, that is fine. Usually the coefficient, or just the coefficient number in front of your variables goes first. Just in math terms, we always want to put the numbers before variables. Negative 5xz, again, you could have that as negative 5zx, and then 1z, you don't really necessarily need that 1. So if you didn't have that, you just had z, that would be fine. All right, let's do some distribute and combine examples. So where we see the parentheses, that's where we're going to be ending up distributing. Where we see something off to the side, that's just going to come down when we distribute. So I actually want to do 22 and 21, and then I'm going to have you guys do 20. So let's do 22. So this says 6 plus 8 times 4w minus 7, and then minus 2w plus 1. So we've got a lot of stuff going on right now, but I see 2 sets of parentheses which we want to get rid of first. And in order to do that, we're going to distribute. So this 6 plus is just going to come down because he's not a part of our distributing. We'll distribute that 8 to the 4w. 8 times 4 is 32w. 8 times negative 7, again, don't think about it more than 10 seconds, is negative 56. Okay, so that distributing's done. Now we're going to move on to the second set of parentheses. This guy has an imaginary negative 1 in front of it. So remember, we can put a 1 multiplied by anything. This is going to have imaginary negative 1 in front of it, which is going to distribute negative 1 times 2w is going to be negative 2w. Negative 1 times positive 1 is going to be negative 1. Okay, when we distribute, that gets rid of our parentheses, and now we can move on combining like terms, which would be our 32w and negative 2w, our 6 and negative 56, and negative 1, since those are just regular numbers. So 32w minus 2w, if I have $32 and I spend 2, I only have $30 left. 6 minus 56 is going to be negative 50, minus another 1 is going to be negative 51. If again you needed to do that on a calculator, cool, do it on a calculator. Use that guy up. There's our final answer. Okay, actually I'm going to have you guys do 21. I'm going to do 20. Let's distribute the 9. So 9 times 2k is going to be 18k. 9 times negative 4 is going to be negative 36. Okay, we're done with that distribution. Now we got to move on to the second set of parentheses. Negative 2 times 7 is going to be negative 14k. Negative 2 times negative 12 is going to end up being a positive 24. Now let's combine. So our k's are going to go together and our numbers are going to go together. So 18k minus 14k is going to be 4k. Negative 36 and positive 24. So really that's like 24 minus 36. So how many is 36 away from 24 is going to be 12, and then there's more negatives, so minus 12. 4k minus 12 for our final answer. Can't combine them anymore because this guy has a k with it. Try 21, see if you can get it on your own. Come back after you've paused the video and try 21 on your own. So hopefully you got 16 minus 2y for that guy. So remember, this negative y has really an imaginary negative 1. This negative y has an imaginary negative 1. So we can combine negative 1 and negative 1, ends up being negative 2. 10 and positive 6 ends up being 16. So that is it for the distributive property. Hope you guys have a great day and get ready for your quiz.